Hey, what's up, Ryan here? And do you wonder why your ChatGPT is just like unreliable? Like randomly doesn't give you the quality output you want, or maybe you've never had quality output. But I'm going to assume if you're like most people, you've spent a ton of time in a given thread, you've gone back and forth with it, you finally got it to do something awesome, and then you do another thread and it sucks, and you're back at the starting point again. I'm going to show you the number one part of ChatGPT, the number one setting, number one area that if you get it right will make everything else easier. And this is the same exact setup that you can use in Claude, in Grok, in Gemini, in Manus. All these systems work the same exact way. Let's jump in and I'll show you. So look, here's the thing. What separates great AI users from everyone else is their opening prompt, right? The way that they actually inject in information. You see, ChatGPT, it's just finishing the sentence, if you think about it, right? Meaning, if I give it a short sentence, it's going to try to finish it. And it finishes it by filling in all the blanks that you left unsaid. That's why it's so unpredictable. It's why it hallucinates. It's why it's all over the place. It's why its output sometimes is great and sometimes sucks. It's because the way you're using it is causing this problem, right? Garbage in, garbage out. And so, the way that most of us started improving or solving this was we gave it longer and longer prompts. We were feeding it more and more information. And that meant we were building Google Drive docs with all these prompts and all this content, all this information. And we're dragging and dropping that into the threads. And most of us do the same type of work over and over again. So we just kept rinsing and repeating. And while it did do a good job, it wasn't very effective long term. It kind of held us back. The reality is we use ChatGPT for tons of different stuff. And most of us, if we don't give it enough context, I'll jump over here and show you, are relying on its memory, right? If you just are firing up a new chat session, then you're relying on its memory to fill in all the blanks about who you are. Or maybe you've actually come in here and put in your occupation and more about you in order to give it more information so that it actually can be smarter. The problem is that you use ChatGPT, if you're like me, for all kinds of stuff. For personal life, relationship advice, travel advice, learning and education, therapy, reflection, using it as a thinking partner. I also use it at work, but I use it for multiple different clients, multiple different projects. I create all different types of deliverables. I do everything from emailing to blogging to YouTube videos to building slide decks and everything in between. That's a lot of mess that it creates in its memory. There has to be a better way, and luckily there is. You use a project folder. If I jump over here into ChatGPT, or into Claude, oh my gosh, I'm clearing everything out. Let's go into Grok. Over here in Grok, you'll see this project folder. In Google, they call them gems. If I open up ChatGPT, you're going to see that it also has project folders. When I scroll down here, even for this deck that I built today, I built it inside of this project folder. And most people probably think these project folders are just about organizing our chats, keeping them all in one spot. Because if you can imagine, the left-hand bar of mine gets really messy because there's so much random stuff in it. 100% this will organize those chats. But that's not the most important part of it. The most important part of it is that when we come in here, we have the ability to give it a set of instructions, and we have the ability to give it knowledge base files. And these two things are what's most important about the project folder. If I come over here and to Gemini and I go and I edit one of these gems, guess what it's going to have? It's going to have a set of instructions, and it's going to have knowledge base files. Over and over and over again, we're going to see the same thing, that a project folder gives us the ability to feed up into AI at the beginning of every prompt four important types of information. Number one, knowledge. We can give it knowledge base files of our backstory and context and about us, about our company, about the project we're working on, whatever the case may be. Context, right? It's going to give it the context around, this specific project. And that context includes being able to use all the chats in that folder for more knowledge. You see, it's kind of like we have this little segmented area of knowledge. The knowledge we fed it and the context from our other chats in this folder. Next up, it gives us the ability to hold our templates. These are crazy important. If you create content, whether it's an email to your boss, a meeting agenda, a slideshow, a blog post, YouTube videos, whatever the case may be, And you want the flow of that content, the structure of it, to be consistent. You need to give it a template to follow. And so this gives us the ability to load up templates so it uses them over and over again. And number 4, it gives us the ability to lock in the voice in that folder. That's right. It means that I can have a different voice in each of the folders to talk a little bit different way. My therapy voice might be different than my learning voice, which might be different than my company voice. And inside of my company folders, I may have a different voice for each of my projects. So how do you go about setting this up? It's crazy easy. You just come in here and hit new project. Just that simple. Give it a name, and then once you're inside of it, you're going to need to give it 2 main things. You need to give it knowledge and instructions. So you load up all of these files, and these files you can see inside of this project right here has information about who I teach, some stats and mistakes that people make with ChatGPT. It's got an entire ebook template, a template for my LinkedIn post. It's got information about how I help people, and even my voice file. Each of these files is used to guide it when I'm building slide decks for ChatGPT training, right? Then I have this instruction set, and I actually built a set of these to help you out. And in fact, before we jump into this, let me tell you how much more valuable this is going to be when you do it the right way, right? What you can see right here is this is the feedback from Manus in analyzing ChatGPT usage normally, meaning just one-shot prompting or even string prompting, versus building a project folder that has this type of information in it. So let me show you the most important part of it, and it's this master prompt. So I'm going to grab it right here, and you can have access to it, but I'll talk you through it really quick. So let me just go ahead and grab one of these, and I'll show you how I would set this up inside of a brand new folder, right? I'll come over here to Grok, I'll click Add New Project Folder, and I can call this Team Meeting Notes, right? As a great example. Oh man, if I could type. Inside of here now, I have my my prompt that is inside of every project instruction folder, right? Number 1, act as my, and now I'm going to put the type of expert I want it to be, or an entire team of experts, right? A team of experts that includes a data analyst, a copywriter, a project manager, etc. Tell it the type of role you want it to be. Give it as much context as possible. Number 2, give it information about the project. Look, I work in marketing at XYZ company. Here's our website. This is what we do. The project we're working on in this folder is writing blog posts, is analyzing a meeting transcript and creating notes or takeaways or emails. Give it as much context around the high-level overview of the project. Next up, desired outcome, right? What is your goal? When you jump in here to do a chat, what are you trying to accomplish, right? Give it an idea of what success looks like, what you're trying to accomplish every single time you're inside of this folder. Next up, knowledge base. You're going to attach all those knowledge base files, but if you want to do a better job with it, you need to list out the name of each file, tell it what the purpose is of the file. If it's a template, tell it when to use it. If it's a voice, remind it that this is how you want it to talk and sound anytime it creates content, right? Make sure you tell it what files you have, what the name of the file is, and what it's used for. Now, finally, interaction protocol. This tells it how you want it to go back and forth with you. This sets the tone for the conversation. And really quite simple, review and analyze. When I start a new conversation, you have to first review all the knowledge base documents. Second, you need to come up with questions to ask me so that you know everything you need to know to help with the project. Third, you're going to ask these questions one at a time and wait for my response. Fourth, you're going to remind me to use the voice memo, meaning either use a voice memo from my phone, drop in a transcript, or use the voice icon so that you talk to it and give it as much information as possible. And fifth, once you have all this, you're going to guide the conversation. You're going to ask for feedback. You're going to collaborate with me. Now, if you want, this is one area where you can get more aggressive. If you want it to question your line of thinking, if you want it to always give you opposing views, if you want it to always give you the pros and cons of multiple options or multiple answers, if you want it to always give you the contrarian viewpoint or question line the thinking or give you new ideas or expand your thought, you can do all of that right here in the guide, right? And so then you kick it off. Setting up a folder this way, now finally, I'm gonna load in all those files that I have, as many as possible. If I wanna learn, say like how to implement something from a YouTube video, I'm gonna go to YouTube, grab the transcript, and I'm going to load it in here as a file. If I have a book that I love, I'm gonna go download the book. I'm going to load it in here and use that as a knowledge base file. I'm going to load up all different types of information in here for this one project. Now, clearly, depending on what you're in, if you're in Gemini, you might be able to connect this up and add these files by connecting them to your drive. Awesome, that's a great way to do it. But so this gives you lots of different options for how to load in project files. The key is, yes, this will take a little bit more time to set up. In fact, if we go back to the scorecard that it gave on why this is so powerful, it's a game changer. Think about this right here. The only reason why it isn't a 10.0 is because it does take some time to set up, right? You need to take 10 to 15 minutes to set up, and by that I mean to load in all the knowledge base files, right? And then to write up that prompt. Now that said, you can even take the prompt and talk to it in order to get it nailed perfectly. But I can tell you, if you take some time today, if you want to know, the number one thing that changed the way that I use ChatGPT, that changed the results I get, that make it so it gives me 10x capabilities at work, it's not better prompting. It's building out these project folders for the things that I do over and over and over again. It is by far the most valuable 10 to 15 minutes you can spend. And if you look down in the comments, I'm going to drop this prompt in there. Go and snag it. Throw it in as the instructions on your project folder. But I just asked a couple things. Number one, if you want me to teach you how to build better knowledge base files and templates, you got to subscribe. Hit subscribe. Share it with a friend. Go and comment. Tell me what you love. Tell me what you hate. Just give me some feedback so that I can make better videos for you. Otherwise, we'll talk to you soon.